But one that caught a lot of the rankings across various platforms that's caught a lot of attention is the offensive line rankings. There's been this offseason debate that's been fun with the Eagles in regards to, is Penei Sewell better than Lane Johnson? Lane Johnson's north of 30. He's 35 years old. So he gets a lot of respect nationally for the work that he's did. Many people think he's more of an all-around tackle in regards to both pass rush and run blocking. But Penei Sewell has been ranked in the top 5 in a lot of offseason rankings, gets his due. But what's wild is that, okay, Penei Sewell is ranked number 2. Tristan Wirfs is ranked number 1. And a lot of coaches and scouts maybe give the left tackle a little bit more credibility because of the work needed to protect the blind side of a quarterback. But look, everybody understands the skills that Penei Sewell brings to the table. Gave up less than 2 sacks last year. So, but what's wild is that there's been this heavy contingent of former linemen, and a couple of the Schwartz brothers have been vocal on social media saying, wait a minute, Penei Sewell's PR team should get a lot of money because there's been a lot of praise for a player that Mitchell Schwartz, a multiple-time Super Bowl winner and Pro Bowler, he feels that Penei Sewell, and I think he's kind of maybe highlighting how PFF ranks the grades in regards to run blocking and pass rush. He looks and sees that the pass blocking grade of Penei Sewell hasn't been that great, but there's a lot of factors that go into that. But I just think that the number that trumps it all is Penei Sewell doesn't give up a lot of sacks. So how does that equate to him not being as great of a pass blocker than others? Now, of course, there's nuance to that, and maybe sometimes there's pressure that gets through that disrupts plays that doesn't count as a sack against. But you're telling me, Mitchell Schwartz, that Penei Sewell you don't think is a top 2, 3 offensive lineman? You feel the need to critique his game? Remember, too, Penei Sewell can get better. He can work on these things. And I just think for the age alone, I think the ranking is fair. That Penei Sewell, maybe even you could argue, is number 1, all-around best right tackle and tackle in the league. So where do you think, why do you think Mitchell Schwartz is looking at maybe the PFF grades? And did you see that? You do a lot of film review. Did you see a lot of disruptiveness from the right tackle spot? Because I didn't get that sense. I thought the Lions and Jared Goff was kept pretty clean. I just don't see a world where someone goes publicly and says that Penei Sewell is overrated. I thought that was one of the wildest things I saw this offseason.
I agree. I do understand to a point where he's coming from, and obviously PFF shouldn't be taken as gospel. Sometimes it's just the eye test. Like sometimes there's different criteria that they use to grade out these games, and we use PFF a lot. I'm a big fan of what they do, but sometimes you just got to go by the eye test. And I'll tell you this: Penei Sewell, the way he gets downfield and blocks, his overall athleticism, just the sheer talent that he has. Like it's hard to overrate that. Like he's kind of a unicorn in that way, just with how agile he is, the pride he takes in blocking. That's not to say other people don't do this, but I do think that there's things that he brings to the position that are just rare, regardless of who you are, what your name is, things like that. So I'm a huge fan of Penei Sewell. It's hard to say he's overrated. Like that is kind of a wild take, but that's also coming from somebody who played in the league. So he has his own nuance behind that, and he sees the game through a different lens as a former player as opposed to somebody like myself. But here's what I'll say. Like, I think that when you look at Penei Sewell and his ability to pass protect, it's not like a Lamar Jackson situation where he can have a bad rep and your quarterback can get out of the pocket and scramble and run for 20 yards and bail him out. Like, all due respect to Jared Goff, he's made some big scrambles in his career. Jared Goff's not that guy. He's not going to be a guy who's going to get out of the pocket and evade rushers and make huge plays to bail out somebody who misses an assignment or has a bad rep on the offensive line. So I think Penei Sewell, and saying that he struggles as a pass blocker or that he isn't as good of a pass blocker as some think, like I just don't agree with that. And I think that when you look at his numbers in his career and the low amount of sacks he's given up, man, I am a big fan of Sewell. And I do think that there's still some room to grow for him. I think that he can still unlock a little bit more of that athleticism in his pass protecting. But I do think that, 4 years into his career, he's been everything the Lions have needed him to be and more. And for that reason, I don't think you can say he's overrated. That's just my opinion.